Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the third and final BMB-STN update for 2022. I'm Luke Melfa, and today we had a lineup of 6 different competitions. That's right, 6! So let's not waste any time with any behind-the-scenes shots today. To start us off, Haley Hepworth and Ava Scheffler were tasked with putting together a 60-second national news report using story reports STN provided. Let's see what they did.
I'm Haley Hepworth, and I will miss guacamole.
And I'm Ava Scheffler, and I love America.
This is tonight on BMB News.
Let's jump in. Our national mascot, the bald eagle, is in grave danger. Nearly half the population across the country is tested positive for chronic lead exposure. Jennifer Cedarleaf, director at Alaska Raptor Center, a nonprofit rescue in Sitka, Alaska, says lead on the landscapes not only affect eagles, but many other birds. You may be wondering, what can I do?
What can we do, Ava?
Well, Haley, I'll tell you. We can donate to eagle sanctuaries across the country and pray those sick birds get well soon.
We sure can. And Ava, I hate to break it to you, but you might need to start paying more for your avocados. The avocado prices skyrocketed after the U.S. temporarily banned imports from Mexico. In Europe and Mexico, avocado pickers had to stand roadside asking for spare change since their jobs were taken away. And don't worry about your guacamole. Chipotle Chief Financial Officer Jack Harding said they're working closely with their suppliers to navigate through this challenge.
Sounds like we should hit up Chipotle before those prices get worse. This has been BMB Tonight.
Tune in next time and have a great night, America.
Quite impressive, but I'm not even surprised. Haley and Ava really are the dream anchor team. Nothing personal, Sean. Next up on our repertoire, Tom Morrow and Matt Nadoff had to put together a sports highlight segment with play-by-play and color commentary using the provided sports footage and stats. Ladies and gentlemen, let's shoot some hoops.
Thanks, guys. Tom Morrow and Matt Nadoff up here in the studio for the BMB postgame show. Matt, what a game today. It all started with the standout senior, number 24, Zuby Ehofor. He got the first quarter going and gained the momentum for the Owls.
Number 32, Jordan Woods, also had his present for the Patriots in the first quarter.
Garland led 13-8 after the first. Coming into the second quarter, number 10, Kendrick Sanders hit a money ball 3, and number 20, Abe Ikaku with the big-time steal and the M1.
Garland led 30-17 after the second and went into the half.
Coming out of the half, Ehofor had a huge block and was on a fast break where he got fouled. Later in the quarter, number 20, Colby House, had the crowd on its feet with that crossover. They ended the quarter with a 10-point lead, 35-25.
Some big plays late in the fourth quarter, and that's the standout senior scoring down low. Then it was Sanders driving down for Lakeview, but not enough to take the W.
A big performance Ehofor had with a double-double, 22 points and 17 rebounds. Garland, 55, and Lakeview, 42. For BMB at STN, I'm Tom Morrow, he's Matt Nadoff, and we'll see you all next time.
I may get put on blast for this, but I'm not really a sports guy, and yet I was, in fact, enthralled by those words. Great stuff, guys. Moving through the day, the Mano brothers helmed the sports commentary project in which they were to create a 90-second editorial sports segment designed to persuade an audience based on the prompt, overtime rules in the NFL. And it was in all caps, so you know STN wasn't playing around. Let's take a look-see.
Picture this. Your team is on the brink of history. One win away from a chance to play in the biggest game in all of American pro sports, the Super Bowl. But you watch helplessly as your team's battered and broken defense gets pushed around, giving up the final touchdown to send their opponent to the big game, all because a simple coin flip didn't go their way. Sorry, Buffalo. From a Patriots fan, I feel your pain. But how infuriating would that be? How different would history be if both teams just got a chance? There's a chance that Tom Brady might only have 6 or even 5 rings. It's clear from a fan's perspective that OT rules need to change. Don't believe me? Let's see what Jake Mano thinks.
Thanks, Matt. It's obvious that the biggest moment of the season shouldn't come down to the flip of a coin. 10 out of every 11 teams who won the coin toss won the game, and most didn't even give the other team a chance. Not even the players like it, but overall, it's actually somewhat fair, as only a slight majority of teams who won the coin toss won the game. It's just something to think about. Now let's send it back to the lesser Mano.
Thanks, Jake. You're a funny guy. So what should the NFL do? I actually would keep the OT rules in the regular season to protect the players, but in the playoffs, both teams need a turn. I say 1 drive each of normal football, and if we're still tied, each team gets 1 drive from midfield until there's a winner, like in college. But why the 50? Because this is the NFL, and points are earned, not given. NFL, it's your move. For STN, I'm Matt Mano.
And I'm Jake Mano.
Reporting.
Oh, beautiful. And if you thought that was good, you should have seen the Mano brothers behind the scenes duking it out. Our next contest was the feature story, in which Emily Yucht and Sammy Rooney, with help from my boy Anthony Chufo, had to make a 90-second feature story using B-roll, sound bites, reporter track, and nat sound based on the prompt Silver Lining. Let's jump right in.
The American way of life is to work hard, but their dedication to this dream has had major side effects on the everyday worker.
My name is Michelle Chiffo, and I'm a team manager. I felt like my house was always in chaos. I was running out the door to get to work on time, dropping the kids at daycare, and not being able to hear for the dogs or be able to start dinner, or just missing out on the kids' events too.
My name is Brian Broxmeyer. I manage real estate. I missed a lot of interactions, beginning of sports games and other things like that, and other family events.
Both Brian and Michelle are reaping the benefits of working at home.
I do have more time with my family. I do have more time to spend at home. We recently got 2 dogs, and I couldn't have done that if I wasn't working from home.
It's been very good for my family. I'm able to get dinner ready, able to do laundry in between my work activities, transportation to appointments and school and otherwise.
The change in office hours has also changed people's view on family.
I think it's made me appreciate them more. When I was working in office, I never realized how much I was missing out on. I always felt it like pulling at your heartstrings, trying to balance both, but now I think I really appreciate my family more.
There is a necessity to work. There is a necessity to work outside the house in certain ways, but not at the sacrifice of your quality of life, because your quality of life at the end of the day ends up being what should be most important.
From BMB, I'm Emily Yucht.
Oh, phenomenal. I especially like the dog. All right, this next competition was initially supposed to be yesterday, but it was later rescheduled to today. The Tell the Story editing contest. The objective was to write, voice, and edit a story using raw footage provided by STN. Hannah Broxmeyer and Brianna Bolin took on the challenge, so let's see what they did.
Mesquite on 3! 1, 2, Frank Mesquite!
Josh Johnson is a senior swimmer at Poteet High School in Mesquite, Texas. He has to deal with the struggles of being an athlete with ADHD and autism, both of which affect him mentally. This could cause others to treat him differently.
I said from day one I wasn't going to treat him any different. And Coach Kari and I both, we have not treated him any different than any other kid out here.
But many might not think about how he can inspire others in and out of the pool.
The swim team is really accepting of him, and he encourages a lot of the younger kids too.
I like teaching kids with disabilities. You know I have a disability, right?
Not only has he impacted other kids, but also his mom.
I am so proud of him. He makes me have to be better.
For Student Television Network, I'm Hannah Broxmeyer.
You know, having to make a story out of someone else's footage sounds like quite the challenge, so props to you two. That was great. And now for our final piece, the commentary contest. Bickham, Thomas DeSalvo, and Ryan Marr were tasked with creating a 90-second editorial segment designed to persuade an audience based on the prompt, expanding test optional college admissions. Roll that video.
The SAT and ACT have been a main factor in college admissions for years, but should colleges still be making those decisions in students' acceptance based off the SAT performance? In Ivy League schools, a decisive factor has always been in a student's SAT scores. It is often believed that if someone gets around 1,400, they no longer have a chance of getting into an Ivy League school. In fact, the average SAT score in Ivy League schools is a whopping 1,506. That is 500 points over the average. The College Board says that this SAT dictates how well a student will do in college. Therefore, colleges give it a little bit more power in the decision than students' consistency through the student's entire school performance. Some students are normally prepared to take the SAT, according to the Brookings Institute. Students whose household income is greater than $200,000 outscore students whose household income is less than $20,000 by almost 300 points on a 1,600 scale. This is due to richer families being able to afford SAT preparation. Colleges should make the SAT optional for students because a good score can still help a student get into a college, but a bad score, that perhaps does not reflect the student's normal performance. This will not prevent the student from getting into a good college. For BMB, I'm STN, I'm Ryan Marr.
That concludes our STN repertoire for the weekend, but one more thing before I go. We got one more video for you all. We didn't make it, but rather the people actually in Long Beach did. Let's roll that clip.
The next winner of Broadcast Excellence Awards caught the eyes of many with all of the elements they incorporated. In fact, they excelled throughout their whole broadcast, from sports to news stories and even a weather segment.
Hope you guys brought your umbrellas.
Y'all love our jokes, right?
Yeah, right? They're the best.
Like, we cringe making them, but you know what? It's kind of fun, right? And the winner of this award goes to...
Me from high school.
I don't know who taught them how to pronounce Mepham, but it clearly wasn't Wellington. This award is STN's highest honor as it recognizes not only the contributions of a select few students who may have worked on a single project, but instead celebrates the contributions of every member of the program. Maybe it's just me, but I think that's something to be proud of. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you to everyone who's been tuning in to keep up with BMB's part in the convention this year, and we hope to see you again next year, not from the Gateway to Long Beach. Have a great night.